The boardroom at Pinnacle Industries smelled like old leather and older money. I stood in the doorway, watching the executives arrange themselves around the polished mahogany table, like peacocks establishing pecking order. The broken chair, the one with the wonky wheel and ripped cushion, sat empty at the far corner, practically in the shadows. Interns SIT where they can, Vincent Palmer, the VP of Operations, said without looking up from his phone. He gestured vaguely toward the broken chair. If you're lucky, maybe next quarter you'll get a real seat. I didn't correct him. For 6 months, I'd been letting them believe I was just another intern, fetching coffee and making copies while I evaluated the company from the inside. Today's board meeting was supposed to be my last day of the charade. Natalie, while you're up, grab me a coffee, Director of Marketing Sandra Chin ordered. Oat milk, 2 sugars. And see if there are any of those croissants left from the executive breakfast. Of course, I said quietly, even though the executive breakfast she mentioned had been charged to my personal card when their usual catering fell through. They never asked how an intern afforded to cover a $500 breakfast spread. I rolled the broken chair to the corner, its squeaky wheel announcing my relegation to the sidelines. Around the table, the real players settled into their leather thrones. CEO Marcus Webb, CFO David Kim, and the various VPs and directors who'd spent months treating me like furniture, present but insignificant. Now then, Marcus began, his voice carrying the authority of someone who'd never been questioned. Let's discuss the TechCorp situation. I know there have been rumors about a hostile takeover, but I assure you Pinnacle is secure. I bit back a smile. Secure. He had no idea that every share he thought was safely held by allies had been quietly acquired by shell companies over the past 3 months. My shell companies. The mysterious buyer won't reveal themselves, David added, shuffling through papers. But our lawyers are confident we can block any attempted acquisition. Whoever they are, they're an idiot, Vincent laughed. Paying premium prices for shares? They'll bankrupt themselves before they get control. Sandra nodded. Probably some new money tech bro who thinks business is like a video game. They'll learn. Oh, I was learning all right. Learning that the executives who ran Pinnacle were so absorbed in their own importance that they'd never noticed the intern who stayed late had access to everything, who listened to their private conversations, who documented every questionable deal, every corner cut, every employee they'd screwed over in the name of profit. Speaking of TechCorp, Marcus continued, I want to accelerate our plans to acquire them. With this mystery buyer distracted by us, TechCorp is vulnerable. But sir, one of the newer directors ventured, TechCorp's employees have that protection clause. If the company is sold, they all get golden parachutes. It would cost. Then we'll gut it before acquisition, Vincent interrupted. Fire them all for cause, eliminate the clause, then buy the empty shell. Simple. Brilliant, Sandra agreed. This is why Vincent's being groomed for CEO. I shifted in my broken chair, the squeak drawing annoyed glances. They had no idea that I'd already acquired TechCorp through a subsidiary, or that their plan to destroy hundreds of careers had just sealed their fate. My phone buzzed. A text from James, my head of security. Team in position. FBI agent Reynolds is in the lobby. Right on schedule. Natalie, Marcus called out, where's that coffee? And why are you even in this meeting? This is for senior staff only. I was told to take notes, I said, holding up my laptop. Notes? He laughed. What could you possibly understand about what we're discussing? This is complex business, not some college project. I'll do my best, I said mildly. Vincent leaned back in his chair. You know what? Let her stay. It's good for interns to see how real business is done. Maybe she'll learn that success requires tough decisions. Like firing entire companies? I asked innocently. The room chuckled. Exactly, Vincent said. Business isn't charity work, intern. It's war. And we're the generals. Then the door opened. I need to speak with Ms. Blackwood about her acquisition of TechCorp. FBI Special Agent Reynolds stood in the doorway, badge visible, expression professionally neutral. Behind him, 2 more agents waited in the hallway. The boardroom froze. I'm sorry, Marcus said slowly. Did you say Blackwood? There's no one here by that. Natalie Blackwood, Agent Reynolds clarified, his eyes finding me in the corner. Ms. Blackwood, we need to discuss the documentation you provided regarding financial irregularities at Pinnacle Industries. Every head in the room swiveled toward me. I straightened in my broken chair, its squeak somehow louder in the silence. That's... Sandra's voice failed. That's the intern. No, I corrected, standing. That's the owner. I checked my phone 47 minutes ago when the final share purchase cleared. Pinnacle Industries is now a wholly owned subsidiary of Blackwood Enterprises. Marcus shot to his feet. That's impossible. You're an intern. You fetch coffee. You make copies. I make strategic acquisitions, I corrected. The coffee was just to pass the time while I gathered evidence of your fraud, embezzlement, and conspiracy to manipulate stock prices. Agent Reynolds stepped forward. Mr. Webb, Mr. Palmer, Ms. Chun, Mr. Kim, we'll need you to come with us. You have the right to remain silent. This is insane, Vincent shouted. She's nobody. She sits in the broken chair. By choice, I said. Do you know why I kept that broken chair in here? My father sat in it 20 years ago when he came to Pinnacle with an invention that could have revolutionized the industry. I looked at Marcus, told him his ideas were worthless. Told him inventors like him were a dime a dozen. Then you stole his patent through legal loopholes and made billions. Marcus's face had gone gray. Blackwood. Thomas Blackwood was your father. I confirmed. He died thinking he was a failure. Died believing your lies that his life's work meant nothing. I spent 10 years building my empire just to buy this company. To sit in his chair. To watch you fall from the same room where you destroyed him. You manipulated us, Sandra accused. I listened, I corrected. To every cruel comment about the useless intern. Every illegal scheme you discussed because you assumed I was too stupid to understand. Every admission of guilt you made while I served your coffee. David was frantically typing on his phone. Our lawyers have been informed that Blackwood Enterprises is their new client, I interrupted. I bought the firm last week. The board won't stand for this, Marcus declared. What board? I asked. I own every share. I am the board. Though I doubt you'll be worrying about corporate governance where you're going. Agent Reynolds finished reading their rights as his team began escorting them out. Vincent turned back at the door, his face twisted with rage. You think you've won? You think destroying us makes you better? No, I said quietly. But rebuilding what you destroyed might. Starting with rehiring every employee you've wrongfully terminated. Honoring every pension you've raided. Repaying every small business you've crushed. That'll bankrupt the company. The company's worth $8.3 billion, I said. I think we can afford to be decent. As the FBI led them away, I found myself alone in the boardroom. Just me and the broken chair. I wheeled it to the head of the table, sitting where Marcus had ruled through fear and greed. The squeak echoed in the empty room. Hey, Dad, I whispered to the silence. Told you I'd fix it. My phone rang. Rebecca Martinez, my CFO at Blackwood Enterprises. Natalie, the press has gotten wind of the FBI raid. What's our statement? I looked around the boardroom, at the portraits of past CEOs who'd built their success on others' failures, at the ridiculous luxury they'd surrounded themselves with while paying their workers minimum wage. Tell them the truth, I said. That Pinnacle Industries is under new management. That we'll be conducting a full audit of all practices. And Rebecca? Schedule an all-hands meeting for Monday. Every employee, from janitors to junior executives. What's the agenda? Restoration, I said. We're going to make this company what it should have been. What my father envisioned before they stole it from him. And the broken chair? I smiled. Goes in my office. A reminder that sometimes the most powerful person in the room is the one everyone ignores. As I ended the call, I thought about the last 6 months. The indignities I'd endured. Fetching coffee for people who'd destroyed my family, taking notes on their crimes while they mocked my appearance, sitting in a broken chair while they planned to ruin more lives. Worth it. All of it worth it for this moment. I pulled out my personal phone and scrolled to a contact I hadn't called in years. Dr. Elizabeth Blackwood, my sister, who'd become a teacher in my father's honor. Lizzie, it's done. We got them. Her sob of relief said everything. What happens now? She asked. Now we rebuild. Every patent they stole we'll honor. Every inventor they cheated will compensate. Every dream they crushed will try to resurrect. Dad would be proud. I hope so, I said, running my hand over the broken chair's worn fabric. I really hope so. The boardroom door opened, and a young man peered in nervously. Ms. Blackwood? I'm James from IT. We were told you're the new owner. That's right. The staff, we're all pretty scared. About our jobs, about what's happening. No one tells us anything. I stood, leaving the broken chair at the head of the table where it belonged. James, spread the word. Nobody's losing their job. In fact, we're hiring back everyone who was unfairly terminated. And that executive breakfast budget? It's going to employee lunches from now on. His eyes widened. You're the intern. The one who bought us donuts last month when the coffee machine broke. Guilty. But why? Why pretend? Because the best way to know a company isn't from the boardroom, I said. It's from the broken chair. That's where you see who people really are. He nodded slowly. Ms. Blackwood? That chair. We've been asking them to replace it for 5 years. It stays, I said firmly. But tell maintenance to fix the wheel. Some things should be preserved, just made better. As James left to spread the news, I took one last look around the boardroom. Tomorrow, this place would be different. The portraits would come down, replaced by photos of the workers who actually built the company. The executive breakfast would become an employee lunch. The broken chair would be fixed but not replaced. And somewhere, maybe, Thomas Blackwood would know that his daughter had done what he couldn't, turned a good idea stolen by bad people into something worthy again. My phone buzzed with another call. The Wall Street Journal, wanting a statement about the most audacious corporate takeover of the decade. I let it ring. The statements could wait. The interviews could wait. The inevitable lawsuits and challenges could wait. Right now, I had a company to heal, starting with fixing that squeaky wheel. But keeping the chair exactly where it belonged, at the head of the table, where even broken things could have power, if someone was brave enough to sit in them. Thanks, Dad. I whispered one more time, then got to work. The intern was gone. The owner had work to do. And Pinnacle Industries would never be the same. Thanks for watching. See you again in the next video. Stay stunned.